Hello and welcome to Expected Value, the podcast that goes inside the sports analytics world. I'm Paul Carr from TruMedia. This is episode 59, so it's the Framber Valdez episode of the show. And appropriately enough, we have a former Astros coach with us for this one. Baseball season is just underway, so our guest is Carlos Muñoz, who was the Astros bullpen catcher for 9 years, from 2009 to 2017, the year they won the World Series. He's also been a scout and instructor, and he just finished up with Team USA at the World Baseball Classic as a coach and bullpen catcher. Carlos and I will talk about his path from Venezuela through a media job to the Astros, what a bullpen catcher does, how he likes to use data and catcher framing metrics, what goes into being a good pitch framer, how analysts can communicate better with players and coaches, how coaches can better work with data, how learning programming languages helped him as a coach. We'll talk about baseball in Venezuela and, maybe most importantly, his favorite Venezuelan food. And then producer Sergio de la Espriella will join me to react and wrap things up. Without further ado, here's the Expected Value conversation with former Astros bullpen catcher and Team USA coach Carlos Muñoz. We're joined now on Expected Value by Carlos Muñoz, longtime MLB bullpen catcher, catching coach, bullpen catcher for Team USA at this World Baseball Classic that just wrapped up, lifelong baseball participant. And Carlos, we're going to start with that Team USA experience because I'm sure that was different than anything you've ever gone through. A lot of us have ever gotten to watch. What was that experience like for you, that whole thing?
Thank you for having me, Paul. For me, it was a game 7 every day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, every pitch count, every swing count, every bullpen move counted to. From the first inning all the way to the end, it was a nerve-wracking game. I mean, the Team Mexico game that we had and the Venezuela game, I mean, it was so exciting. And if you're not ready mentally, I mean, I think it's going to be hard on you because it's a lot of pressure from fans, from media, even from family, even from friends, you know. But I mean, it was. I will do it again.
Yeah.
Sadly, it's every 3 years.
Uh-huh.
I will do it every year. Why not every 2 years? But we'll see what happens in the future.
All right. Let's start. I want to start kind of almost at the beginning for you, just to provide background for everyone on who you are, what you do. From Venezuela, what was your general path? Just from Venezuela, you have media experience before you kind of got into the on-the-field baseball thing. What was your general path from Venezuela through the media to where you are today?
Yeah, I came to the States like 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I'm U.S. citizens. I've been U.S. citizens since 2010. And back then, when I was in college, I got in a situation that I'm like, man, I want to play baseball, but at the same time, I need to help my family.
Right.
You know, because we didn't have that income. And then back then, I was an international student. When it was time for me to move on to a 4-year school, I couldn't afford it because for international students, it's very expensive. Mm-hmm. Even if you have a sponsor, the sponsor is not going to pay for that. So I decided to go and do a internship in Telemundo, Houston. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to do something. I need to do something. So I decided to go there. And then 7 months later, they offered me a contract. They offered me $25,000 a year. I'm like, oh my God, I'm rich. That was back in 2000.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did Telemundo for 7 years. Then while I was doing Telemundo, I met so many people in the Astros organization, people in the front office and people on the field. And then this guy, he was the son of one of our photographers in Telemundo. And then I asked him, dude, do you guys need some type of help out there? Like, you mean scouting? Yeah, why not? Scouting, yeah, I will do it. Okay, I'm going to put you in contact with our area scout. So 3-4 days later, they offered me, the associate scout, an associate scout position. And I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. How much am I gonna make? No, nothing. You don't make anything. Just go around. It's gonna send you to these high school games, 2, 3 games per day. I'm like, okay, I think I can do it. Well, during that period of time, 4 or 5 years, I found out that a guy that I used to throw batting practice for the Astros, he got involved in this motorcycle accident. So I called one of the trainers and I asked him, hey, Rohan, are you guys are going to fill that position, or what you guys are going to do? Oh, you want to do it? Yeah, I want to do it. Okay, let me talk to Sean Berry. Sean Berry was the hitting coach
Yeah.
back then for the Astros. So he told me, give me a couple of weeks. I'll call you back. I'm like, come on, dude, couple of weeks. I mean, just never mind. The guy called me 2 minutes later. And he's like, hey, Sean Berry said, if you want that position, it's yours. I was doing newspaper back at that moment. I'm like, really? Yeah. Okay, tell him I'll take it. Dude, you're going to make $35 a day. After taxes, like 28. I'll do it. Why you want to do it for that money? Because I don't know if I'm going to have this opportunity again in the future. I'll do it. I'll find out. I mean, I'll do another things around like lessons and all that. So I did 4 or 5 years throwing batting practice for the Astros. And then after that time, they offered me a bullpen catching position. So I did that for 4 or 5 more years until 2017.
Nice. What does a bullpen catcher do? I mean, we know what a catcher does, and you're catching in the bullpen. What's the general role of the bullpen catcher on a day-to-day basis?
Okay, I'm gonna tell you what I did with Team USA.
Mm-hmm.
I go to the ballpark, get my lunch, and then I ask around. Well, the pitching coach. I would ask the pitching coach or bullpen coach who's pitching, who's starting that day. So I went to the guy gets there. The pitcher gets there because I'm the one. I'm gonna play catch with him. It could be 90 feet, it could be 120, it could be long toss all the way to the center field wall. And then, but before that, before the playing catch, I would talk to the bench coach or the third base coach. In this case, Dino Evo, the third base coach for the Dodgers. And then, okay, today we're gonna do some ground balls first, and then after ground balls for like 10 minutes, we're gonna do some BP. So I would help him around, like putting baseball here, putting baseball there, you know. And after that, I would play some catch with the bullpen guys, do some flat grounds, do some long toss, flat grounds again, catching some bullpens. And then when it's time for BP, I will check, on the outfield for the team. Now, when like 30 minutes before game time, I will wait for the pitcher down the line and our bullpen to play catch with them. But before that, around like 2:30, 3 o'clock, I will get in touch with the starting pitcher. I will ask him, hey, at what time are you gonna go to bullpen real quick? What time the game? 7:07. I'll be there by 6:40. Okay, I'll be there by 6:35 and be ready for you. Play catch with him, and I will give him, after he's done, he will go inside the bullpen and get ready with the starting catcher.
As a catching coach, how do you use data? I mean, there's obviously tons of data out there. Hitters, pitchers, catchers can all use it differently. As a catcher, how do you, broadly speaking, how do you use data to prep pitchers and such?
Well, honestly, I was not part of the analytic meeting with the Team USA, but mostly they would go over each player from the other team. Okay, how are we gonna pitch this guy? How are we gonna pitch this other guy? We have video. We have this video of these guys striking out on this pitch, and then everybody will be there, like the starting catcher, the starting pitcher, bullpen coach, pitching coach, the two guys we have from this MLB organization, from the Dodgers and Pirates, and head coach, manager, bench coach, and then they will go after every single guy. Something that really caught my attention before those meetings was the way Kyle Higashioka, the catcher for the Yankees, he will get there, because there was like two buses, one like 1:30 for the staff and 2:30 for the players. He will get in our bus, and then as soon as he will get in the ballpark, he will pull up his laptop and then go after every single play, helping the team. He didn't play that much, but he helped us in that area. It was impressive. It was amazing. He was communicating with the bullpen guys, in this case, the relievers, the data and the information he had on every single player on his computer.
And broadly speaking, I'm not trying to like steal state secrets or anything. What are a few of the things that you're looking at when you're scouting the opposing hitters? What kind of tendencies or types of things are you looking at from a catching standpoint?
Well, I tend to, me as a catcher or catching coach, and the youth, and as a youth coach as well, I will tell the catchers to start reading tendencies on the batter, body language, like breaking ball. You go for breaking ball, and then you see some the batter doing like this move, like back, like, oh my God, I'm gonna get hit.
Right.
Call again the breaking ball. Now you throw again the breaking ball. You call the breaking ball again. Now it's 0-2. Why are you gonna call for a fastball down the middle, and then the guy is gonna hit the ball in the gap? You gotta be smarter than that. They start reading tendency. The same with the pitcher. If you see some body language, like negative body language, like fastball inside, and the guy's like, and then that's a strike. Okay, go again. Throw 2 more of those. Why are you gonna throw a changeup? He's looking for something else. It's all about tendencies. Like the batter, he gets close to the home plate, or he stays away from the home plate, or he goes screw up. He moves up, like closer, like forward to the pitcher. So those are type of tendencies that I tend to tell this catcher. It's not just fastball and then fastball and breaking ball.
Yeah, I know you're into the framing metrics that we and other places have. How do you use those? I mean, obviously you can see, when a catcher is getting or maybe losing strikes, certain pitch types. How do you go about taking those numbers and applying them to, making a catcher better?
Well, I will sit down with the catcher after a game the next day, and then I will tell him, you know what, on inside pitch, low inside fastballs, looks like you were having trouble. And then here I have the number here that is backing up my what I'm telling you. The zone 17. The zone 17 is the one that is very low, like below your I will say left knee. And I mean, if you don't know how to catch that fastball right there, 95 plus, you're gonna get your thumb broken, or your hand is gonna be. So it's more like, okay, see, you were having trouble yesterday on that zone, and also on the middle. I will say that's zone 18. Let's do some work on that. Let's try to get underneath the ball today. So because we're trying to get strikes. If you can get like 5, 6, 7 strikes tonight on that zone, it's gonna help us a lot. I mean, up right here in the middle, the guys can deal with that. They can do a good job. But when it comes to like bottom pitches, they tend to get on top of the ball, and then they catch the ball, and then they try to bring the ball, the mid up, and it's too late. They're not gonna fool anybody. They want to do it and look natural doing that.
So it sounds like you're taking the data and the video and kind of translating that into catching technique. Is that fair? You say you're good at this. Numbers don't look as good here. How can we make that better from a technique or a coaching standpoint?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I mean, it's like, okay, let's see the numbers. Let's see what you got yesterday, and now let's watch the video. This is how you trying to catch this ball on zone 17. It could be the angle, it could be the position on your feet. Because for me personally, everything starts from your feet up, or it could be the stance that you're using, the left knee down or right knee down. I'm not against those stances, but if you wanna employ those stances, okay, let's try to be more natural and try to steal those pitches in the bottom of the zone, and let's practice more of those that area.
So what's something? So if I'm watching a game and I can see a catcher is or isn't getting strikes, I can see that a lot he's getting it because he's moving the ball into the zone. Very simply. What I don't know well is like what's an example of the technique to help do that better, I guess. And you mentioned a couple of the things here with the angle and what's something like we can watch at home that would maybe go into being a good framer, or what's a technique type of thing that we can keep an eye out for?
Well, in that situation, I will if you're not getting enough strikes from the umpire, it could be the umpire, the position of the umpire. You can talk to the umpire. Do you have a good view from over my right shoulder, from my left shoulder? I will start like a communication with the umpire, because the umpire can see the track, can track the pitch, but sometimes he cannot see where you catching that ball. Like I'm talking about still right now. I'm talking again the bottom pitches. So in that situation, okay, you want to catch that ball and bring it up. Okay, strike or no strike. Okay, throw the ball back. Do you see that catch? Am I in the middle of your way? You want me to move more this side or that side? Because sometimes it's not the catcher. Sometimes it's even the umpire.
Yeah,
it's either the umpire or it could be a mitral. A mitral match, mitral and your pitcher and your AA pitcher, or it could be Otani versus your AAA pitcher that you called up yesterday. They're gonna give more preference to these batters than your pitcher in most situations.
How receptive are umpires to those questions or suggestions from catchers? Because I mean, we know some umpires are thin-skinned, some are not. So how does that work with the catcher saying, "Hey, do I need to move a little bit," or whatever it is? How does those conversations go?
Well, it depends on the guy. It could be a good guy. It could be a I don't know, a bad guy. I will say bad guy. Like
I know what you mean.
Like
not the easiest to work with.
Yeah, like last summer I was coaching this college team, and then I see my catcher, and he's not moving the glove. He's not moving his mitt towards the middle. He's catching the ball, and he's like being lazy. And then, Michael, come here. What's going on back there? Well, the umpire told me to stop framing the ball. He's not gonna give me anything. I'm like, dude, you keep doing your job because you don't know who's watching behind the plate. You don't know who's in the stands watching you.
Right.
Okay. If he keeps telling you that, I'm gonna talk to him. But you keep doing your job, and he's gonna do his job. All right, you look lazy, Yeah, but he told me to stop moving my mitt towards the, like framing and all that because he's not his game. I'm like, I know, but do your job. I'll talk to him. Some other guys, they're like receptive. They're good communicators throughout the game with the kids and all that, with the players. But some other guys are like, I don't know, they're probably having bad days.
Yeah. Aside from framing, which most teams have framing metrics, we have framing metrics, etc. What other sort of data are you looking at from a catching standpoint to see how a guy's doing?
To see how a guy's doing, I will say the SL plus.
Mm-hmm.
The LL plus is more like it's more like an individual metric for the catchers.
Right. Basically putting the framing on a 0 to 100 scale. So it's not just volume, but you get a rate stat as well. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. I will consider that metric as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like last season, I was using more like the SLAA.
The raw numbers. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I was told by a major league catching coach, he DM'd me and he goes, dude, we use TruMedia here. I like your job. You're doing great. Why don't you use the SL plus? Because that's more like, individual, like how these catchers do in comparison with the Milwaukee Brewers catcher.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? You're right. Yeah. I'm going to start doing that tomorrow, and I will consider that again this year if I have the opportunity.
Yeah. There's definitely use cases, I think, for both. Sometimes you want the raw number. Like I think maybe in a single game, that raw number can be better because you just want to see, he got me 5 strikes or something like you said.
And depends, and I think it depends on the organization too, because some guys they use these and other people use these other metric or these guys. It depends on
Yeah, and then you get over a season, and the guys who have the highest raw number are often just the guys who caught a lot, but you get the rate stat and you get, guys who didn't catch as many innings or pitches who pop higher up the charts. I'm curious what do you think? So automated balls and strikes may be coming. they're using it in the minors. Who knows if it'll make to the majors? But how do you think that will affect catchers, or does affect catchers now in the minors, or could affect? Because obviously the framing element, at the very least, changes, if not, is drastically reduced. How do you think the automated balls and strikes, the robot umps, would affect catchers there?
I mean, personally, I don't like it.
Yeah.
Personally, I mean, you're gonna have two sides of fans.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have the guys that they don't like it, and some fans that they want the call right away. But personally, I mean, hopefully, I don't want that to happen. I don't know if they're doing this to call more attention, to get more ratings and stuff, but I don't think it's necessary to use that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's what I have.
Yep.
I have more, but I don't want to.
You don't want to get in trouble yet, at least, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Understood. No, understood.
Yeah.
Some kind of general data usage type of questions. You said you started as a scout, which there's this old school. There's this mindset of traditional kind of pitting old school scouts against new school data people, which is not always that clean and simple. But I guess I'm just curious, how have you seen, from what you know of the scouting world, when you got into it, 10 plus years ago to where it is now, how have you seen data used differently by teams in that scouting world than it was back in the day?
Now, I think I support that. I really like that, because if you're going to invest on this guy, you're going to invest $4 or $5 million. I want to see what I have, and comparing with Paul Goldsmith when he was 17 or 18 years old. I support that.
Yeah.
Honestly, when I was doing scouting work for the Astros, I mean, the area scout, he used to call me, okay, how fast is he throwing? Oh, he's 95. And then tailing, he got some, he got plenty of tailing. I mean, he's cutting a lot and doing, okay, I'll call you back later. That's it. Now I've seen it. I've seen guys with an electronic camera and on games and recording and taking, chart, writing numbers. I mean, now it's getting, I mean, it's not like getting crazy, but I like what they're doing, because if you want that guy, I mean, I know that before the draft, they get together and they run numbers and all that. Let's compare this guy with this other guy. Okay, we want this guy, but this one is close to this start. Okay, but this guy can get better because we have a good pitching staff coaching staff down there in the minors. Okay, let's get this guy. Why don't we get both? All that situation.
Yeah.
But I support that. I really support that.
For people, like me, who do not play or coach baseball at any kind of high level, and in kind of more of an analyst type of role, communication wise, how do you suggest they better communicate with players, with coaches? Because analysts on teams are often trying to communicate data across the line, so to speak, to coaches and players. What advice do you have for people who are trying to do that and do that better?
I know for sure that the analytics department, they have somebody in the middle or nobody in the middle to communicate those numbers to the players or to the staff. I would just communicate the simple stuff, because I know for sure every year there's like 3, 4, 5 new metrics out there. Now, explain to the players what this metric means, and then why you giving me that? Why do you want me to? Can you show me? Can you give me some proof? What am I doing? What am I doing wrong? I know for sure. Also, during the WBC, I was playing catch with a pitcher, major league pitcher, and then he told me something that opened my eyes. He said, "Dude, we have everything in our organization. Everything like data, analytics. I mean, we have, but they don't know how to communicate it to us." And I've been playing that organization he told me for 6, 7 years, and they don't know. I mean, they have the people, but they don't know how to communicate that. They tell us what to do and this and that, but it's the same for us. Like, we don't understand that.
So they're not speaking baseball, so to speak. They're just kind of throwing numbers at them.
Probably they're trying to sound smart. you know, instead of like, hey, dude, you know what? When you stay back and hit it to the other side, I think you're doing better than pulling around. I think you catch or whatever. Just talk more baseball, like more baseball content, more baseball like, because these guys, the majority of these guys, you know, they only care about getting better every day. And when you try to communicate that, if you're trying to sound smart with them, I mean, it's gonna be, you're not doing your job.
Yeah.
And communication, what you just told me, I mean, it's very important in this, you know, this at that level of baseball.
From sort of the opposite angle, what do you suggest coaches do to improve, their understanding of the stats of the data and how it can help them do their job better?
Just do your homework, you know, do your homework. I mean, if you don't understand what you're reading, call somebody, you know, DM somebody, and then do a Zoom call with, and then try to explain. I mean, there's so many free options on YouTube. Do your homework if you want, you know, and then when that time comes, you're gonna be able to communicate well with a, I don't know, rookie or I don't know, a all-star, you know, because a rookie can tell you, oh yeah, I'll do that, or all-star can ask you so many questions, you know, but you got to do your homework and get better.
I know you learned, kind of taught yourself and learned some SQL and some other programming languages. What prompted you to do that? How has that helped you as a coach?
Well, back in 2018, I just want to get better back in 2018 because when I was let go by the Astros, I'm like, man, am I that smart or no? Do I need to get better? There's a lot of competition. Okay, you know what? I'm going to get better. So I contact Andy Andres from the Boston University. I email him, and then he said, I have a program online. You can just watch it. I'm not going to grade you. Just watch it. And I did some SQL online courses. I haven't done SQL like in a couple of years. But if I get back on it, I mean, I can do it. And it's like when I learned that, I feel like I was ahead of more people, you know, like the ones that they only want to throw batting practice and hit fungos, and that's it. I'm like, okay, I can throw BP, I can hit fungos, I can catch 95 plus miles per hour fastballs, and also I can do some computer work. That's a plus for me, and that's what I wanted to do, and that's what I tell people right now. They ask me, hey, do you think you're the best bullpen catcher out there? I'm like, I think so. Why? Because I know how to do this and that, and also I'm bilingual. Oh, and that's a plus, you know. And whatever helps you to get to the next level, to the highest level. I mean, I recommend you do it. I mean, it takes a couple of weeks to get online and learn, and then if you don't understand, just write an email and ask for questions, ask for answers, look for answers, and et cetera, you know.
Yep. You mentioned the Boston University thing. You're advising students on a makings of a baseball player course. What does that involve? What sort of things are you advising students to do there?
And that comes with Andy Andres, because he texted me one day, like 2 months after I met him in Boston University, because I went to the sabermetrics seminar to talk about JT Realmuto, the new version of catching back in 2019. And then he texted me, hey, can you get I'm gonna get you this big screen in my classroom so you can talk to my students about baseball. They're gonna ask you questions, how to get a baseball, what they should do in order to get, you know, a good resume, more knowledge about baseball, and pretty much it's like a class. Like, hey, tomorrow we're gonna have a guest. We're gonna have Carlos Muñoz, former MLB bullpen catcher with the Astros. Where they're gonna talk to you about a baseball topic, and then at the end, you guys are gonna have questions for him. And that's all. You know, it's simple. I really love it. Yeah.
Let them pick your brain. A couple of kind of general type of questions. One, I'm curious if you see any difference between how like Latin Hispanic players want and use data differently than American players. Is there any sort of cultural difference there?
Oh yeah, a lot,
And what would
a
that look
lot.
like?
Yeah, I mean the resources
Mm-hmm.
down there. I've seen in social media some academies they even have Rapsodo down there,
Mm-hmm.
but not everybody. I mean, the way a Dominican guy or Venezuelan guy, the way they work, is like they get up every morning, they go to the beach and run sprints on the beach sand to get
Mm-hmm.
faster, to get strong legs. And then after that, they hit a flat tire, and then they lift weights, and then they start scouts start watching these guys when they're like almost 14, not 16. Now it's almost 14. Now here in the States, and that's what I tell my youth guys, dude, you guys have everything here. You have cages, indoor facilities, Rapsodo, hick tracks. You got everything. When I came to this country 30 years ago, that was the first time I saw a tee.
Mm.
I asked the guy, "What is that thing right there?" That's a tee. And what do you do with that? You pull the ball there, and you hit the ball. I'm like, no way. This is
Right.
great.
That's funny.
But yeah, but that's a big difference right there. I mean, the economic situation in South America or in the Caribbean, I mean, that's the only way to get out of there. Is either
Mm-hmm.
as a baseball player, athlete, and those big bonuses. It's
Right.
flat. You get $4 million, and it's flat. You don't have to pay anything to the
Yeah.
government. It's just for you.
Yeah. So
You
it's
know.
just exposure more than anything. In a US, you might grow up around these academies that have all the data and not as much in some other countries, I guess.
Yeah, it's more like an eye test for this guy. I like this guy.
Mm-hmm.
He runs 6'5". He got some pop. He can hit. He runs. And he got good hands. Here,
Yep.
the process down here, which is I support the American process. I completely support that process. But I
Yeah.
mean,
It's just different.
back there in Venezuela or Dominican, Panama, Colombia. I mean, they work with whatever they have in hands.
So I have to ask, because I'm curious as much as anything. Baseball has a long tradition in Venezuela, going back to, Luis Aparicio and guys before that. And obviously plenty of stars now, Miguel Cabrera and Salvador Perez and Acuna and all these guys. Why is baseball so big in Venezuela compared to other South American countries where obviously soccer is more dominant? And what's the difference there in Venezuela?
Venezuela. When I was there playing, it was like everybody wanted to be a big leaguer.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wanted to be on TV. Everybody wanted to sign that contract, wear the gear, and all of that. Uh, I don't know. I mean, soccer is getting there too down in Venezuela, but baseball is the king right now.
Mm.
Back then, my idol back then was Bobby Ramos.
Mm-hmm.
Bobby Ramos, the catcher. Yeah, I finally met him like 3 years ago at this MLB play development program in Vero Beach. They find out he was my idol, and they sent him on my locker, next to my locker. Bobby Ramos, Cuban guy.
Cuban, right? Yeah.
And
Okay.
yeah, and then he used to play for my hometown pro team.
Okay.
And yeah, so I don't know. I mean, baseball down there, people yells, people scream, people will tell your son sucks. My son is better than yours. Let's go to the field. Let's take ground balls. Let's see who
Yeah.
throws harder. Let's see who runs faster. And I don't know. I miss that.
Just part
Now,
of the soccer, part of the culture there.
It's like you play domino down there. I don't like to play dominoes because if you play, you sit down, then you get yelled at by any mistakes. And here you gotta baby all these kids, because if you're telling something, they're gonna, next thing you see is that a news station on your door, like, hey, why you yell at you? Hey, you're gonna get sued, because I'm like, come on, I'm just trying to be, But I mean, I love my country. I mean, it's
Yeah.
Every time I go there, last time I was there was in 2014. Every time I go there, I go to the ballpark and watch some baseball. The atmosphere, the music, the food is so different than here. I mean, I will say Dominica is the king, like in
Right.
that aspect. Like they go crazy, but Venezuela has
Yeah.
their stuff too. I mean, it's different baseball.
One last kind of major question, just as we're recording this, we're the day before opening day. A lot of rule changes this year that you've seen spring training and whatnot. Is there any? How do you think these are going to affect catchers? We talk about base runners and pitchers on the pitch clock, and from a catching standpoint, how do these rule changes? How do you think they're going to impact catching?
I think they're going to impact from their contract talks. Like I will say, like, okay, and I think they're going to talk about that. Like, yeah, I know, but there's not new rules for in the game, so that's why it's affecting us. Like, okay, let's talk about contract. Back then, I used to say more runs, or I used to catch and get more strikes. Now it's not the same because of these rules. I think it's going to affect from that point, and I don't know. I'm not really supporting all these rules out there. What I really miss? Shortstop, ground ball on the hole. Shortstop goes and took one to first base. Everybody get off their seat, like, and the umpire goes safe or out. I miss that. Yeah. I miss those plays.
Yeah, we should get a little more this year with the shift.
Exactly. And then also the call from the umpire, even if it's on the edge or it was too low, strike 3. Everybody on this side disagrees. This part of the field, the ballpark agrees. I mean, that's what is baseball about. Now it's going to be like the game is going to be stopped, and then everybody's going to be like, okay, what happened? And then we'll continue. We'll go, and then you're going to be like for 5 minutes asking yourself, what happened?
Right.
What
Gotta
happened?
Make it fast. Yeah.
Exactly. But what happened? I mean, I love baseball. If you play 3.5, 4 hours, I'm going to be there.
Yep.
And you know what? I'm gonna tell you this story. Back in 2000, I don't know. I think it was like 2 years ago. I went to Florida. The Blue Jays, they were still playing in Florida.
Okay.
The regular season was in Florida.
Right.
And then the Blue Jays played the Yankees. Gary Cole was throwing 98, 99 for like 4 or 5 innings, and I think it was Gray, the lefty. I forgot the name of the lefty.
Sonny Gray.
Sonny Gray. He's now
Gray?
with Seattle. Last name Gray.
John Gray.
I will say it was Gray. He was throwing 96, 97 by the 5th inning. I called my wife. Hey, are you guys still around? Can you come and get me? It was so strikes, pop flies, strike 3, strikeouts, pop flies, ground balls. I'm like, man, where are the gappers? Where are like the singles? I mean, this is not like it used to be back then. The chef, ground ball, there you go. They're gonna score. No, the second baseman is like in right field, out.
Yep.
But I mean, hopefully, I don't know if it's gonna change or not, but hopefully, it changed to some degree.
Yeah. Yep. Robbie Ray is the guy that we were trying to come
Robbie
up with.
Ray. Yeah, that's the guy. Robbie. Yeah.
Okay. Let me wrap this up with a few of your favorites just to get a few quick things to get us out of here. What's your favorite number and why?
It is still 96. And I don't know. I mean, when I was with the Astros, they gave me that number, 96. Okay. And my daughter, she's a libero. She's 13 years old, libero. And volleyball, she wears 96. And for the WBC, I called the clubhouse guy, hey, can I get 96? And they gave me 96 for some reason. I don't know. I like that number.
That's good. Probably not a lot of demand for 96 on the MLB side, so easy to get.
I'm not gonna call and hey, can I have 27? It's not gonna happen.
Right.
My Trout's number.
Yep. Yeah. You may have answered this already, but your favorite player as a kid when you were growing up, is it Bobby Ramos?
It was Bobby Ramos from my hometown pro team, and the big leagues. I mean, believe it or not, but it still is Jose Canseco.
Okay.
I don't know.
He was fun to watch.
Oh yeah. I mean, that swing, like it was the type of guy, like, see the ball, swing hard. That's it. Yep. Swing hard,
run fast, big muscles. Yeah. Fun to watch 40, the kid for
40, 40. Yeah. 40.
Favorite catcher, like in today's game, you like to watch, like he's catching the game, you kind of get excited. You're like, all right, this is going to be a fun one.
JT.
Ramuda. Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, when I went to the supplementary seminar, it was because I was going to talk about the way he was catching and all that. Now, last week I was working with him. I mean, dreams come true. I was like, man,
Yeah.
one day I'm gonna meet this guy. Not even I met the guy, I worked with him.
Yep.
You know, it was
Yeah.
so exciting. Yeah.
I always enjoy picking brains on food heritage. Is there a favorite Venezuelan specific food for you? Like you go home or you go to a Venezuelan restaurant, like this is the thing to get?
Arepa with a lot of meat, a lot of
Mhm.
chicken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what is it exactly?
It's like they call it chalupa. I mean, hey, you didn't know it's not chalupa. Get out of here. It's like looks like a chalupa or whatever,
Okay.
like tortilla, and then you put a lot of beef or chicken inside and
Yeah.
cheese, and that's it.
Nice.
My daughter, she eats two every day,
That's the
thick
thing.
ones. She loves
Yeah.
that with cheese. Yeah,
All right. And
yeah.
finally, you mentioned you're the bullpen catcher with Astros and they won the World Series in 2017. Is there a favorite thing that happened to you or you got to do after winning that World Series?
Uh, well, yeah. I mean, I have more friends.
People start calling more, right?
Yeah, and then I had this guy calling me back asking for those five World Series baseball signed by the Astros. I'm like, dude, what's going on? I told you no from the beginning. No, but it was exciting. You know, it was more like when you get to that level, like playoff and then World Series, you get so stressed. Everything have like you end the game at 12, and then you gotta be early in at the ballpark, tired, and then the show must go on. I was so tired, so stressed. My body was in pain, and then all of a sudden it's over. We won, and then okay, let's go home. Let's go home. I told my wife it's over. Let's go home.
Yeah.
I'm tired because it was. I mean, I'm a Twitter guy. I see John Heyman talking about all the Dodgers, the Dodgers, the Dodgers. I'm like, come on, dude. Or Yankees, Yankees. Like, come on. And then we beat the Yankees, and then we beat the Dodgers. You know, whatever happened back then is all well known, but
Right.
whatever happens, and it was over, and then let's go home now. Let's rest.
Yep. Yeah, good story. Always nice to end with a ring. So, Carlos Muñoz, catching coach, bullpen catcher for Team USA, Astros, etc. Thanks for joining us here on Expected Value.
Thank you for having me, Paul. Thank you.
Back in the TruMedia studios, I'm Paul Carr. Thanks again to Carlos Muñoz for joining us on the show. Follow him on Twitter and Instagram at Carlos96Muñoz for more behind-the-scenes pictures and stats from his baseball life. Joined now by producer Sergio de la Espriella. Sergio, welcome to the show. I know you've got some food takes here. What are your takeaways from this conversation with Carlos?
Oh yeah. Listen, as a resident, as the resident Colombian American at TruMedia, I feel it is my cultural duty to inform the general public that while Carlos was 100% right that Venezuelan arepas have that style. They're kind of like they're not chalupas, like what he was saying. No, they're not, but they are kind of sandwich like, where
Mm-hmm.
think of like a pita and you can fill it up with different things. And listen, they are delicious. I've had them before. It is like a beautiful sandwich filled with whatever meat that you like, just with arepas instead of an arepa instead of bread. As a
Right.
Colombian American, though, and
Mhm.
specifically whose family comes from Barranquilla, the arepas that we eat are completely different than the Venezuelan ones. And
Okay.
I just, in this friendly war between Colombian and Venezuelan arepas, have to inform the public that the Colombian, at least the Barranquilla coast way, I think is the superior. They have the sandwich, but for us, it's more like think of like a super small pancake
Uh-huh.
where they can come in all different sizes, but traditionally, at least the way my mom makes them, which is always going to be my preferred way,
Of course.
it's this little, they're not a quarter, not a $50, but think of like a coaster,
Yeah.
the coaster amount
Silver
size.
dollar pancakes. Yeah.
Exactly, smaller, but yes, in that way. And then you put warm butter on them. You toast them on the stove a little bit, maybe a little bit of salt, and then you put butter again on top when you're at the table. Oh, just chef's kiss, fan. Now I can't wait to go visit my mom in May
Right.
for Mother's Day.
I'm coming over. I'm coming over for dinner. So
Yes,
uh,
yes, I will let her know.
Semi-related note, I got to try pupusas for the first time. I was down in Orlando for
Mm,
US El Salvador, and we got some pupusas on set, and they
there
were
you go.
delicious. I love that every Central American country, South American country has their own kind of unique dish
Yeah,
that they're all similar.
they
It's
are.
look, it's bread and meat and whatever else you're putting on it.
There's only so many ways to cook
Right.
rice and beans. Like, let's be realistic here.
But they're all great. Like, and everyone's
Absolutely.
so proud of them. So it's great to be able to try all these different things, and it's part of what makes.
I have friends
Yeah.
that don't understand why when I go to a Colombian restaurant, I'll order red beans, but when I go to a
Mhm.
Cuban restaurant, I'll order black beans. And they're like, "Aren't they just beans?" I go, "No,
No.
they're made differently. They taste different."
Yes.
And just the whole nostalgia of it all of eating Colombian food versus Cuban food, which are the two main things that I grew up eating in South Florida.
Yeah.
um,
My
yeah.
grandma from Puerto Rico,
hmm
raised or grew up in Miami. Didn't grow up, but moved to Miami when she was a teenager. Anyway, black beans, rice, pork chops was the Puerto
hmm
Rican meal that she served to us, and so I am a black bean convert. And
Yes.
you don't have to explain the difference to me.
It's okay. My stepmom is El Salvadorian, so there's a lot of pupusas in this house.
Hmm.
My mom, as I am, is Colombian, so I eat a lot of those Colombian arepas. And my girlfriend is Cuban, and so I get the black beans there. I'm just a multicultural
Best
hub
of all the
over
worlds.
here. That's what
All
I
right,
do.
I'm not sure how we got all there, but anyway, uh, back to the conversation with Carlos. One thing I wanted to touch on, it's we talk about pitch framing. It's this huge thing in baseball that's come around over the last 10 years or so, and it's added a lot of value to catchers. We talked about JT Realmuto, whose defense and pitch framing is part of the reason he got big money contracts, and it's a real thing. It's valuable. You can kind of quantify it. How many runs is it worth? Things like that, and at the same time, 5 years from now, it might be irrelevant or at least different. We don't know how automated balls and strikes, robot umps, whatever you want to call it, is going to play into it. But it's just wild to me that 10, 15 years ago, this was not something we could at least quantify. You would hear, catchers handle pitchers better and things like that. And now it could be something that doesn't even need quantifying. But I guess more than anything, I'm just interested to see how whatever happens with ABS and stuff, how that affects catchers, how it affects framing. Are there going to be ways you can trick the cameras, or the whatever defines the strike, how that works, etc. So I don't know, but it's a weird spot we're in where it's super important and it might not be at all.
And it's one of those like, are we gonna get like, hey, Chat GPT, can you be an MLB ump? Like, is that what's the next step? No, but with the robo umps, I'm just like you. I'm very curious, and you could kind of hear it in Carlos's voice, and when he was talking about how he is very unsure, just like the rest of us are. I mean, we were recording this on March 29th, Wednesday, the day before opening day. You are now hearing this, listener, over a week or close to a week of now with the new MLB, with these new rules they're pushing. And just like what we're not unsure about the robo umps in the future, are we, what's this new baseball going to look like? Personally, when we were out in Arizona, we were able to see a spring training game one day and we went to see a Team USA scrimmage the next day. And because the World Baseball Classic didn't have those new pitch clock and bigger bases and rules, it was a night and day experience in terms of the speed of the game, how involved and how much attention you have to pay so regularly. Reminds me of kind of a basketball game or a hockey game where when there's a sequence going on the mound, you can't really look away because you don't have as much time as you used to. There's also the question of, should we have these rules in October compared to during the playoffs compared to the regular season? So there's a lot of quirks to be worked out. I personally am excited about it. At the end there, Carlos was talking about how there were certain things, he kind of dreams of baseball of a previous era, of that magic and that excitement that there was once before. And unfortunately, that's just not the reality nowadays because of the way the game has evolved, the way society has evolved with having things be more immediate. And I think ultimately these rules are going to be good for the game. I'm hoping that Carlos can also see those, more offenses that he was talking about. Wanting to, we missed the single, that we're going to get more stolen bases and stuff like that because of the bigger bases and such. So I'm very curious to see how those rules develop. And, who knows, listener, maybe you can be listening to this and 6 days afterwards, it's a complete success. Yeah, great,
Right.
awesome, wonderful. You never know.
Yeah, I feel like after a couple weeks, we probably won't think about it much. One thing I'm just aesthetically on the aesthetic front looking forward to is kind of what he said. You want to see the shortstop go in the hole, make the throw, um, that kind of thing. Uh, it, it will make the game feel, especially if you're watching on TV. When you see a ground ball, you're watching your traditional behind the pitcher camera. The ground ball is going a certain direction. you have the sense of where the fielders are or should be. And so many times it's like a hard ground ball up the middle. And in my head, at least, I'm like, oh, that's a base hit. And then, there's somebody standing right there. And there'll still be some of that because the shift obviously isn't going away completely. But I think it'll help. No one really knows, but the pace of play certainly, I found myself just like I'd miss pitches just because I'm not quite used to everything moving that quickly. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's an adjustment that I have to watch. Like, oh, we're moving. We got to pay attention a little bit differently than we used to.
I go back to last year when we had our company outing and we went up to Boston, just the non-engineers, and we saw a Red Sox game one day, and the next day we went to see a Woo Sox game in Worcester. And at the game, that was the first time any of us had experienced, because they did that in the AAA last year. They had that pitch clock get tested out. And that was the first time any of us experienced it. And that was the big takeaway from that evening, just, talking amongst each other, was, wow, how fast was that game? Like, is this what the new baseball is going to be like? And, I'm excited for, having maybe a new demographic of fans, a new age group of fans, because baseball does trend to have its audience cater and average to be a bit more in the 40s and 50s. And while that's perfectly fine now, because I still believe that to be a very young age, my dad doesn't believe me. I fully believe it. Your body will age, but old is a state of mind. That is my motto. So, no, but I'm interested to see, can we get, like, I'm a sports nut, so of course I'm going to watch baseball. I love, I love any sport, but can I get the casual 26-year-old, 27-year-old to buy in and be like, hey, in Miami, hey, there's this guy Jazz, you're going to love him. We got Sandy, one of the best pitchers in the league. Go and watch for that. Can we get those casual fans to go? And that's going to be a big question, and to tie it all together with what Carlos was saying, his journey was so incredible. Can we access that, like, same love for the game that he had as a kid, but now with this younger generation? Everything, technology, things are going to constantly change, and to continually harp on things for being not how quote unquote they used to be, I think isn't the solution. I think it's, the game adapts just as society adapts, just as culture adapts, just as technology moves forward. We have to find a way to integrate these things properly. I'm excited for these rules to see how they go in. And most of all, I'm excited, for kids to fall in love with the game, just like Carlos did when he was in Venezuela. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, I think, again, we don't know, but I think all these changes will eventually be almost forgotten. They'll become part of the game. And I think the end product will just be a little bit better, a little bit more appealing. It's not going to revolutionize the way baseball is treated in the US or loved or whatever it is, but it helps. And every little bit helps when you're trying to, whether it's find market share from a business standpoint or just kind of keep your game going and build fans and whatever. So I think it'll be a good thing, but by the time this comes out, who knows? We'll see. All right. Thanks, Sergio. Thanks one last time to Carlos Muñoz for joining us on the show. As always, please subscribe, rate, review the show on Apple or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. We have a lot of baseball episodes in the archives, including Joe Holtzen, who just joined TruMedia from the Pittsburgh Pirates. And in Spanish, even, Sergio talked with Christian Perez, who was a Reds coach and just joined the Astros in their player development department. Share on social media, too, if you can. You can follow us on Twitter at TruMedia Sports, TRU Media Sports. You can give us feedback or guest suggestions there or email the show, expectedvalue@TruMediaNetworks.com. On behalf of Sergio de la Espriella and everyone here at TruMedia, I'm Paul Carr. Thanks for listening to Expected Value, the podcast that goes inside the sports analytics world.